Well, good morning and welcome back to Trekking with Turtle. Today is Wednesday. It is the last day of January of 2024, and we are back at the Superstition Wilderness to connect the Weaver Needle Trail, not really the trail, but the Peralta Trail, which leads to Weaver Needle, and the Bluff Springs Dutchmen Trail. We're going to connect the two and see what other stuff we can find. I'll show you here on the map on what we're planning on heading today. Right now we're located here. We're planning on traveling up the Bluff Spring Trail, which connects over to the Dutchmen Trail, turns this direction toward the west, and then back up through the area where Weaver's Needle is. The whole total trip is roughly about 12 miles. But we're getting a little bit of an earlier start today because it's supposed to be pretty warm. I think today's high is supposed to be like close to 80 degrees. So right now it is currently almost 9 o'clock. So I'm guessing right now it's probably 55, maybe even closer to 60. But we're going to try to connect the two. Come along. Today I'm going to go the counterclockwise loop. So just make sure when you get up here to the first intersection, which is only about 100 yards away, you've got the Dutchman's Trail 104, goes that direction, and then you got Bluff Springs Trail, which is where I head up to. So to be honest, this first section of about 0.6 miles is pretty steep, pretty technical, pretty difficult, quite the warm-up before you reach any area that will start to level out or go downhill. So that's primarily the reason why I'm going counterclockwise. Not to say that the other trail is any easier, part of the trail is any easier. It's just this is one of the tougher sections if you were to descend on. But I know other challenges will probably await, seeing I've never connected the two. But let's go find out. To give you some sort of idea, this is part of the first section. First, I don't know, quarter mile. It gets pretty doggone steep. So it's hard to give a perspective how steep it is. But if you're clever, if you've ever climbed the Manitou Incline in Colorado, it's steep like that, but more rocky terrain. Alright, I'm at 0.6 miles. And I'll tell you what, that first section is a bugger. But when you get up here, you get some nice views. Kind of get an idea of where you're headed. Technically, we're going to be going up and over this next little hill, which will start going downhill. But as you can see, there's so much more out here to explore. Just for the record today, my pack is a little bit more full than usual. I want to make sure I'm hydrated well. So I have extra hydration. I have snacks. I've got my gel. And for these types of hikes, I don't use Gatorade. In fact, I hardly ever use Gatorade. In my opinion, it's just pure sugar water. I don't care what athlete is endorsing it, but that's why kids like it so much, because they look up to their idols. But I shouldn't be getting on a rant about that. But my choice of hydration is Tailwind Nutrition. Has 100 calories per scoop. It's easy on the stomach. It's got a good blend of electrolytes and other minerals to keep your body from crashing and burning physically, not falling down, but. And then I have my goo Roctane gel. There's so many versions that are out there that, you know, I shouldn't say versions. So there are so many versions of gels that are out there, but let's just say there's so many different variations of flavor for the goo family. I have a flask with about 5 ounces of gel in there, so that should carry me through. Also, the Roctane has a little bit of caffeine in there, so it tends to give me a little bit of a boost. I think it's 35 milligrams per packet. Ooh. Careful, there was a rock that jumped out at me. But as I've said before, when you're on the trail, watch for intersections, watch for cairns, CAIRNS, and enjoy. All right, we're approaching 1.5 miles in. We've been out here for an hour and, we've been out here for 35 minutes. So, you come to this washout area down here, and there's going to be a lot of things around here to kind of watch for. When you get to the bottom, we came from up there, and now we get here, we have a little bit of a dilemma sometimes trying to figure out, is that a trail there? Which way do I go? And you look up into the canyon a little bit and you see a bunch of water and you don't know really which way to go. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're going to go up the canyon here. You're going to go right off of the trail, make a right off of the trail, and it's going to be just an open canyon up here with a lot of rocks, a little bit of standing water. Again, watch for the cairns. Now, there is a trail back there you can take. I'm not exactly sure where it goes, but there's not a cairn there to basically say this is the direction. But I only know because I've been here before. And you get these huge slabs of rock to climb over. You may have seen this, a section of this before in one of my previous videos, just a small clip called Disconnect. But as you can see, the cairns are right there. There's a little bit more water up through here because of the rainfall that we had maybe about a week ago. But so it's hard to kind of navigate. And then, you know, if you come across where there's water, just make sure you're looking for areas that you can cross easily, because the cactus show no mercy. And then we hit another cairn. We're in through that through that particular area. And then we get right directly back on the trail to the left. Up ahead, we have a little bit of a steady climb. But, you know, enjoy yourself while you're out here. I know it's hard for me sometimes to stop and smell the roses. But you come up along here. And, you know, there'll be an opening down here where there is I think it's an old saguaro that is laying on the trail to kind of keep people from going the wrong direction. So another cairn I can cross here. There's a few campsites around all over this area. People come in here and they'll camp for a few days, overnight, you know. About 2.25 miles in, we just passed the trailhead or the intersection of the Terrapin Trail and the Bluff Springs. And when you hit that, okay, if you want to explore and go to the Terrapin Trail, I don't know where that goes. But today, we're just focusing on these trails. But anyway, you get to the Terrapin intersection and you just keep moving forward. This section kind of levels out a little bit. Not as many rocks. There's a couple of crossings with possible water, like this one. But just so you know, this trail will test your strength, your stamina, and even your brain. As you can see, you come along this bed of water, or this bed, not bed of water, but you come along this area that's very beautiful. You could sit here for a while and just kind of enjoy nature. Good rock formations right nearby, a lot of good shade. But you get here and trying to figure out how to get across. Now, granted, I'd like to say it's real easy to get across, but you know, you just have a few things that you kind of have to navigate over. Get past the rock, up and over this other boulder, and then it dries out a little bit. But then again, where does it go? How do I get there? So you just have to slowly just make your way through, and eventually you will end up coming out at the right spot. So I reached the intersection of Bluff Springs Trail and the Dutchmen Trail. If you go back a little ways and cross over, you can hit the other Dutchmen Trail, which will take you on a different loop. So we're going to go left to the Dutchmen Trail. We're at 3.3 miles in, and we have about another less than a half a mile or more. Excuse me. Let me back up there. We just have a little ways before we get to a big campsite. It's wide open. Plenty of places to camp. Uh, I'm not sure what permits you have to be out here, if any. So you just got to check with your local agencies to find out if you need if you have any camping fees. It's not like they're reserved, but it's just better to know. Somehow I think there's no fee to come out here and camp. I think there's more of a fee, like if you were to car camp along the road that I came up on. I say car camp, but you have all kinds of vehicles that like to go up on that dirt road that will they'll stay there for days, weeks, maybe even months, I don't know. But people bring their RVs, they bring their fancy little razor, I think that's what they're called, the razor dune buggies. Not exactly sure of the proper term, but you know, those things that really go fast at about 25 grand. But for out here, I just check your local government agencies to find out if there are any fees to backpack and or camp through here. I know for me, coming out here to hike, I don't need a permit to come out here and hike, so I'm guessing you don't need a permit here to camp. Sorry, I wasn't trying to harp on that, but anyway. So this section starts to flatten out a little bit. Flatten out, I mean, it levels out a little bit. Not as many rocks to overcome. But you get to a little fork in the road here. Technically, you kind of want to go right, but if you want to reach the camping area, you take a left just below these mountainous areas over here. There's a big campsite here. And from that intersection, it literally only took me just a few minutes to get here. So you can obviously tell that there have been people camping here. There's a trail that leads back over to the main trail that way. There's several areas that you can pitch a tent. Obviously, there's the bigger campfire area. Here's another trail that just kind of leads off. Don't quite know where they go. Anywho, this is what you have to work with. So we're going to make a beeline back to the main trail and continue on. So I just reached the 5.6 mile mark, and the last mile was pretty slow going because of the terrain and the tight corridors with cactus. So if you go the counterclockwise direction, just know at between 4.5 and 5.5, it could just slow your pace down a little bit. Watch your footing. Watch the cactus, because like I said, they do creep up right next to the trail. It does get a little tight, but so far we are making pretty decent time. Again, not that we're trying to fly through this, but All right. So here we go. We just ran across another sign here. Here's the Dutchmen Trail, which is where I want to kind of stick with. There's another trail here called Red Tanks Trail. Have no idea where it goes. Maybe at some point I'll come out here and venture that way, but for now we're going to, sorry for the quick movement, but for now we're going to stay on the Dutchmen Trail. And this sign here looks a little bit more up to date. It's not old and decrepit. So we're going to keep moving forward. So I just went through an area that had a lot of trees and a lot of shade. It literally felt like you went from the desert into the deep woods, and some camping areas in there. So, no, for reference, nice shaded area just after the Red Tanks Trail intersection. I also had my camera off, and I witnessed an animal run, literally dart across the trail, and it didn't hop like a rabbit, and it certainly was not big enough to be a coyote. So, don't really quite know what it was, but there's wildlife out here. I wasn't threatening it, and it was no threat to me, but I would just be aware. All right, so we came across another dried up bed and trying to figure out exactly which way to go. While I was looking for feet print or shoe print, I ran across this, and by the looks of it, it certainly is not that of your typical domesticated animal. So, again, just got to keep my wits about me. I probably should think about getting a conceal and carry. But yeah, there's definitely prints out here from animals other than domestic. So I'm going to go up this direction. They're continuing on that direction. Those are some big prints. But I'm unsure of the direction of the trail here. So we need to find the trail and keep going. All right, at about 6 3/4 mile, there's another interchange of the Dutchmen Trail that intersects with the start of another trail called Peter's Trail. Again, we want to stay on the Dutchmen. At least that's the plan for today, and then get back over to the Peralta Trail is ultimately where we're trying to get to. The Dutchmen Trail is 104, which according to the map still should be the right direction. But again, 6 3/4 mile is the intersection of Peter's Trail and Dutchmen. There's that one red-tailed hawk. At least it looks like it has a little bit of red on the tail. but I'm not sure exactly what it is. So anyway, what I was going to say is there's a stretch back there that's very, very sandy. It's like literally like walking on a beach. So if you when you run across it, you'll know it. It just stretches for, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile until you get back on the rocky terrain. And again, thousands upon thousands and thousands of saguaro cactus up on the hillside. This area is kind of nice in through here because of the trees. Gives a little bit of shade. And then again, you come back down here to a basin that you have to cross. I'm going to stop and take a brief look. So you got all this basin over here. You got all, oh my God, look at all those saguaros. Just thousands of saguaros across the way. So here I am at another intersection. So Dutchman's Trail goes up to the left and eventually it connects to another trail, and I got to stay on 104 until I get to the 102. 102 is Peralta. But the other one over here is Cavalry Trail 239. And, I don't have enough in me to go that direction. So I'm going to try to make up some time here and see if I can, get back, make some good time on the trail. So we just passed another intersection. We're still staying on the Dutchmen Trail. The intersection we passed was trail number 129, which is, I believe it's called Bullseye Trail. But the one thing that was helpful for me when I turned the corner that I felt like I was really making progress was that right up there. We got Weaver's Needle right in front of us. And that was literally a blessing in disguise. Because after walking several miles from east to west, I traveled a little more than 4 miles and, wondered where I was at, making sure that I was doing the right thing, making sure I wasn't going to run out of food or hydration. But anyway, we're headed up the Dutchman's Trail. There's Weaver's Needle. We'll probably be at the next intersection before I know it. All right, so we finally made it to the Peralta Canyon Trail 102. I obviously went a little longer than what I had planned on. I realize now that the other trail I probably should have taken was the Terrapin Trail. But live and learn. I've been out here now for almost 11 miles. I'm finally back on the Peralta Trail, which is good. So I have at least 4 miles to get roughly to the top. All right, so we are almost back to the car. Today we did a total of 17 miles, a little longer than normal, but I hope you got the gist of the trail. And got a few more tactical things that I had to overcome. But, what I always say about hydration and stuff like that, well, I miscalculated and I practically ran out of water. But when I got to the 2 mile mark, when I got to the overlook of Weaver's Needle, there was a couple there, and we got to talking a little bit, and they looked at me and they're like, "Would you like some water?" And I was like, "Sure." So they filled up my bottle, my extra bottle that I had. So I'm very thankful that they were able to help me out, because I had been struggling without hydration for a little while. I was having to really ration my water. But anyway, thanks for joining me today on this trek of a turtle. It was probably one of the harder hikes that I've done in the area, and the longest hike that I've done in the area. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you get some information out of it. I hope you get to come out and enjoy some of these trails. But I probably won't make my videos this long anymore, or at least try to trim them as much as I can. But anyway, thanks for joining me today, and see you on the next adventure.